I was waiting to still do States of America. We just hands. I think that's chances for help. Is Jessica will be leaving us?
Twenty final start.
Do you have Lieutenant Matthew's cell phone? If not, remind me to give it to you this week.
Okay, let's start with department head. Andy, you wanna go first?
Sure. I handed out reports for May. This year we've done, for the month of May, excuse me, 52 911 calls, 123 transfers, for a total of 175 runs. Year to date for 2025, 280 911 calls, 552 transfers, for a total of 832. I added in no transports, which means that we responded with either a lift assist or it wasn't a transport. So just we had a patient contact with not available route, basically. 2024, we did 65 911 calls, 126 transfers, for a total of 191. Last year, from up to May, for the total for the year was 329 911 calls, 571 transfers, for a total of 956 no transport. It said for April, we did I'm sorry. For May, I blew that one. For May, we did 4 fire inspections. And as far as ambulances are concerned, our brand new one with 1,700 miles on it, broke down and hooks it. Had to be towed back. Which is it's a mass flow sensor. And that hasn't come in yet, so I don't know when it's coming in.
Under warranty?
Yes, that's under warranty.
They gotta foot the bill for the problem too.
I did ask the question. We're still in negotiation with that. A4, which is a transit van. The front differential had no fluid in it. So that's, well, I can't say it didn't have any fluid. It had fluid in it, it had metal shavings in it. That's another one we're working with Ford Garage. I think it was 20,000 miles over the warranty on that. And Ford doesn't even suggest looking at that. So it's I think 100,000 miles. So we're talking about that. The truck that we were supposed to take out of service this year, which we have not as of yet, is out of service due to a timing change. Which at the budget committee meeting was going to present a plan in order to not trade a truck next year, but not to have to purchase one if we fix this one. If we can get the approval for the monies. But I wanted to present that at the budget committee meeting.
Butter me up, huh?
No, I just being honest. We had like an audit from ISO. They set the insurance rating for the town. There was some paperwork things that we had to fix on our end. And then the pumpers they have to actually be pump tested every year. So we're doing that this Wednesday morning. The ladder truck engine 2 and engine 4. And then we should be back in compliance. And the breakdown on the fire calls for last month, what's fast. I can read those out if you want. And then, I was extremely surprised, if you look at your mileage report, we actually added it up. We've got 2 trucks that are putting on some serious miles. The 4 was for the May till today. The last selectmen's meeting till today, we put 5,893 miles on it. Just to give you an idea of the mileage that we are putting on those trucks. And the trips are back to COVID. We're going further away to bring patients, is what I'm trying to say. Local hospitals are full again. We're going to Boston, Maine Med. Portsmouth, we go to Portsmouth at least 3 times a week. That's where the most. Other than that, that's all I have.
One question, because it goes down a little bit.
Yep.
Not huge, but is some of that being accountable for the ambulance that we sent to Littleton?
Yes, yes, it is. I spoke to him today. They've done almost 70 runs with that truck. And they have not collected a dime. They're taking uninsured patients and Lafayette trips or trips that just don't pay. So it's actually helping us out.
In other words, that's help.
Correct. And to the point where I think they're actually, they've got a meeting tomorrow night. I think they're looking to purchase a new truck because it's become very helpful for everybody.
Added in 70 runs to just about.
Yeah, about 10%.
And not doing those trips makes us available to do the other trips. Even though, you know what I mean, we can take on the long distance, it really helps as far as long distance trips. I know that doesn't make sense.
Hey,
Oh,
that's why that helps too.
Well, and
Let's talk about the revenue side of this.
we are at, and I don't, I've struggled with this, but we do ask for insurance. Not out of weeks, but unless it's going to Boston, so. Here we go, that's, in Littleton, we have that. So take care of our own. You know, does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's no bad about asking a question, but it is what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee.
So things are going well. Summertime cleanup is pretty much over. We just had our welder there and he has fixed one of the 2 cans that we had that were kind of out of commission because the doors didn't, fit. So he was able to retrofit one of the 2 doors that we had taken off of old cans when we crushed a lot of the containers we've been using it for storage. And I thought there's probably saved this door that you might fit something. They look kind of similar. Come to find out they were a little narrower, but the opening was correct and welder kind of fit things, put blocks on it. Long story short, it'll enable us now to not pretty much have any single load runs, which were $600 when a tandem run is $5. So although we've been hitting at least one of those as a dual run, which helps, saves $20, a shot. Because we only had 3 cans, one of those runs was a problem. So now that we fixed that other can, we should be able to make all of these pretty much in let's go for top by itself. So I think we've crunched that cost down about as well as we can at this point, and we'll just run with it. And the lifespan with Casella has gone well. But it had billing problems and we've caught them. They fixed them just like that on our behalf. So that's good. And I think we've shaken out most of the problems. As you know, there's more than just running. There's getting your guy there, what time is it, coordinate everything you do. There's kind of a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, but that's good. The other thing I want to talk about is solar. We We still experience a problem with our solar communication, online, not online, but working with power. While just to figure out how we, so we're here to fix the ones we thought we had. We had some problems, but not all the problems we thought we had. So over the last couple of months, we've had a few inverters that have failed. They've been under warranty. So we had a company from Dental Lakes region come up and fix them. They had to become, I guess, qualified through Solar Edge first to even work on it. So they did. But the communication package that we have on our phone only shows like 2 panels in one. In fact, they're all working. We think one of the repeaters on the building isn't receiving any information. So it shows them as out of service. He has to get another license through this Solar's Edge to be able to work on the communication part of it. So the last time he was here, which was about a week and a half ago, he went around with me to the lagoon, the chlorinator, transfer. We checked all of them together to make sure that they were producing a mag, but it does not show up that way on it. So he said, as soon as I can get back to you with, I'm good to go with that company and I can come up with this, get it fixed, then he'll get us. It's been just kind of crazy stuff, but.
That's for your tenacity, Ronnie. Just keep digging.
It's been interesting here. So, keep on. Yeah.
Yes.
John, what do you have for us?
All right, so, since last meeting, which is May 19th, we've had 346 calls for service, 6 motor vehicle crashes, 62 motor vehicle stops and 11 arrests. Same time period last year, 629 calls for service, 7 crashes, 269 stops and 24 arrests. Year to date, we're at 2,754 calls for service, 43 crashes, 783 motor vehicle stops and 90 arrests. Same time frame last year, year to date 2024, we had 2,892 calls for service, 41 crashes, 1,150 stops and 75 arrests. Fluctuating a little, we were shorthanded for a little while. I'll talk about manning and staffing here a little bit. We'll hit the mileages first. Cruiser 1 has 5,925 miles. That's our new one. Cruiser 2 is the 2021 Explorer that has 79,570 miles. Cruiser 4, which is the 2019 Explorer, has 111,019 miles. And Cruiser 5, the 2023 Explorer, has 50,479 miles. So not doing too bad there. As you all are aware, Officer Walker left us to Littleton PD. Talking with him, his decision to do that, he lives in Littleton, his family's there. He missed a lot of family events working here, not being able to do things with family, which according to him was a large determining factor when he decided to make the jump to Littleton. So even when he's on shift, he can go home, family dinners, birthdays, he won't be missing that stuff. Officer Sullivan left us for Gorham PD. My understanding is just for better opportunity for him, advancement, growth, all that. So that's why he went. With that said, I don't know how much you guys are aware of what's going on in Growton, but I was able to hire Officer Kennison and back as a certified officer. He's already back and hit the road running. His very first night shift, he had a DUI. So he's hard charging and happy to be back, and he's loving it. With that said, I also hired Officer Kevin DeLuca, who's a trainee officer out of Growton. He has to go to the academy as of now. He's scheduled to go to the academy in August. Paperwork's already been submitted and all that from the 2 police standards. So we'll be going to the academy in August. So he's currently in field training. Officer Kennison is field training officer. He's a certified field training officer. Officer Jefferson is employed. That got extended a little bit. He was supposed to be originally back in May, June time frame. Now he's not back till probably the end of August. So that's that. Officer Commissar broke his leg. I think everybody's aware. He's doing better. He's healing by the day. He in the July, August timeframe, he's hoping to be back, but I mean, obviously, it is what it is. A pretty severe break. He shattered his ankle in about 10 different places and broke both the fibula and tibia, not the two lower. Broke both of those and shattered his ankle. Short bike. So, he is working on a light duty basis. He's doing a lot of administrative stuff for us that myself or Tiffany just don't have time to do. So I am utilizing him. I let Jessica know earlier, the high bidder on the expedition that placed out of New York, I think it was, they never sent us any information after we sent the award letter to them. I called them numerous times, no answer. Voicemail was never set up. I was actually able to get a hold of the guy today, and he's backing out because he can't find somebody to transport him. So however you guys want to deal with that, that's on you. But that was the bid on the expedition. The high bidder is backed out because he says he can't find somebody to transport him. So
Did we have two bidders on
you did.
that? We did.
You had the guy that won, and I believe there was a second bid. I think it was Big Father. I have no idea what the bid was, but I'm pretty sure I have to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll figure that out. Right. Now, last Thursday, Jessica and I were asked to go to the Tri-County CAP 60th anniversary birthday celebration. The town and the police department were both recognized as the 2025 Spirit of Community Action Award. So that's something just in that we as a town department, police department and the town, as you are aware, we're out there trying to work with other agencies, Tri-County CAP specifically in this instance. So they recognize that. We have nice little plaques. So you saw
So downstairs.
that's Jessica's going downstairs. We have a same one over at the police department that I was presenting. The last thing I have is on Sunday, I'll be going on vacation for 2 weeks. So I will be out of state for 2 weeks. Lieutenant Matthews will step up and be the point of contact. Obviously, my phone will be on if we need something. You know, get a hold of Lieutenant Matthews, get a hold of me, you can get a hold of him, whatever. Don't foresee any issues, but just a little.
Congrats on filling the vacancies.
We still have one open spot.
Okay, the open spot's the 8th office,
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And we did post that on Indeed and other places. I have like 7 resumes, 5 of them through the Indeed. They're not local, like Mass and New York, but it's getting our information out there.
It's a wide reach.
So yes, ma'am. So Lieutenant Matthew and I are going to sit down and try to figure out when to do a PT test, send out the invites just like we did last time. See if we can fill out a spot. Fill out of.
Yeah, congratulations on the recognition from Tri-County CAP. And I also want to recognize you had a couple significant rest.
The guys are out there even shorthanded with busting our butts. So we're trying to do the best we can with you sometimes as well what we have.
It was a couple significant things. Appreciate their work, especially in that particular issue.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Not a lot. Summer program will be starting next week. We have something almost every single day for the kids. We don't do a lot for adult programming in the summer because there's just so much else out there. We pick that back up in the fall. We'll have somebody coming the first week in July to determine when our furnace and HVAC system is going to be repaired. And that hopefully will be done in a month. Tim and crew will be burying our new pump line sometime in the near future when it fits those schedules. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else.
I have a quick question. Yeah, when a school bus drops off, they come around School Street and they drop off to that door, not the door on Main Street. Is that correct?
And Ronnie meets the bus every day when it comes. So that the kids are, they know somebody's right there waiting for them.
Yeah. I saw, probably a week or two ago, I saw 5 girls, maybe middle school age, they weren't little, dart right out on Main Street, because there's no crosswalk. To probably get up on High Street, whether it was to home or down to home, I thought, we've got to get a handle on the first. Yes.
We repeat that bunch every day, and that crosswalk walk really needs to be put back in. It's a danger for everybody, because at the bank, the post office, the library, they say it's because it's more hazardous to have it there, but it's an accident waiting to happen, somebody's gonna be hit.
I think it was probably one of the most busiest street blocks in the town.
And I understand that making the decision, put the crosswalk going right into the park. But that's used so much less, except for Saturday, perhaps, farmers market, than the other one is. And the people who use it, some of the older folks who who come across there, it's a dangerous place.
Yeah, it certainly got my attention, seeing kids dart out right across Main Street. It was not,
I said, well, that's the one you use that?
oh, most definitely. Look, I'm, now, my frontal lobe has,
Maybe
Developed.
make a stand and just go down there and paint the damn sidewalk back. Send a clear message to Concord.
The,
Yeah.
because of where it ended, it did make sense to me. I think maybe it's something that we need to look at and putting an actual landing there, so it is going to.
So you guys could up just a little bit.
Smith.
Yeah.
No, I can't be angled a little bit.
If that's the one thing that's the problem, then we should be able to get it.
We should be able
The
to,
little,
Yeah.
if the issue is about being straight across, then we should be able to get it.
we should be able to.
I think the issue was, they said, well, it ends in a road.
Yeah, I remember some sort of discussion of it. Yeah, it's only been that way for 65 years that I know.
They told us you can't have crosswalks that close to one another. And he was given the choice of the one going right into the park, or the one they took out, and we made the other choice. And we would certainly appreciate it if you guys could. You do with it, yeah.
I can walk down with that, how freely it is.
So you're still beating that. Okay, I know.
Thank you, Robert. I don't feel.
All right, I got the DERA reimbursement request in, got the confirmation today from administration, and we're getting paid. I also I submitted the highway safety enforcement patrol application. They had held, I was late, and they held a week for me to get it done last week, so, yes. Prepping for the ZBA meeting, that's gonna be, a density of variance for the motel. Because they want to convert their units into apartments, and right now, the way it stands, it would be 30, and they want 36. So, end of the month, trying to expedite that because they want to have decisions made before they close on the motel. Bill Ledoux gave me the updated numbers on the lead line, and I would like to get review to understand your breakdown on how we got to so many dollars per. Oh, yeah, okay. Saturday, the 28th is also, it's Big Rig Day. Yeah, and it's also going to be the trails ribbon cutting, so we scheduled it at noon, which would be after the big rig, hoping that we would get a larger crowd. I want to thank the town crew because they put in the kiosks, and they also removed that one that was quite a bear to get out of the ground because it still had the concrete on the poles to move out to the causeway trailhead. But I got some great pictures that I can share. I sent out a doodle poll today to, schedule the interviews on the 25th. I've got 4 out of the 5 scheduled. Weston and Sampson cannot make it on the 25th, so they're looking for an alternative date. I'll follow up with everyone on that.
Can they do it remotely, like by Zoom?
Well, it's a presentation, it's 20 minutes presentation, 20 minutes questions, interview, and then a 20-minute break in between each one so that they can get out and then set up for the next person. So I have 3 scheduled in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Well, now it's 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Also going back to the motel, I ended up having to contact Ben to see if there was any language in the grant agreement to retain the mural. Basically the developer is not keen on the mural, so I just want to make sure that there's something that's protecting it. If not, then we'll see what the community has to say about it, I guess. Also that I just approved plan for the replanting of trees at Family Dollar. There's a little bit of history with this. Asplund came in, they wanted to cut down trees, we couldn't find something appropriate. Now they're gonna get it down and replanted, and we all ended up agreeing on box elders. So, but
Replace the mate.
the big maples that the branches keep falling down during winds. It's all rotted in the crown. And then the last thing would be due to the number of, resident complaints on Grove Street and Grandview. DOT and, well, they will agree to sign a letter if Board of Selectmen writes a letter about signage that's required to go out. I've already sent an email, which is, you know, a courtesy to say, I know that you're working on it, but you might want to hurry it up, and we'll probably have to prompt, them again. This is the restaurant. So,
And there's gonna be signage on Grove. that says-
yeah, the way the plan approved one that says not a through street. And then, on Main Street, there's no parking. It's supposed to be between the signs, but you don't see a sign. And then he's responsible for the hatching on the road. So the next sign up, I noticed was in between, I think, Jiffy Mart and, Dunkin's, right? So you don't see any hatching all the way down. And there's even supposed to be no parking in front of the funeral.
Bailey's, yeah.
Yeah, so,
That's no good.
Yeah, I say again, 65 years they've been parked in front
I
of.
think, Shane, I think that happened, I vaguely remember happened when the Rotary got put in.
yes, yeah.
That changed all around.
And it's from Railroad
Yeah.
down, all the way down, for both sides.
But the original thing, when they put the rotary in, it's gonna patch everything, rotary to the cap, right? They, the state was supposed to do that.
Well, what they did with the driveway permit for Miggy's in particular was they made that a condition on his driveway. Approval. So, but that doesn't help with the funeral home, not being. I had already talked to Tim Brown earlier in the year, and he said, well, you know, if you want us to do it, we will. And I'm like, I'm not gonna ask you to do something that shouldn't be your responsibility in the first place. So,
And the signage saying Grove Street and Grandview, and like, everyone that lives in town knows that it's Grove Street. And like, we got put Jersey barriers up.
well, I think what they're trying to deter is when they miss the parking may be full behind the restaurant, or they missed where the entry to the pickup window would be. And then they keep going on down through and around. And so I think that it is a through street because it's a U, but they're just trying to not get the extra traffic. And, I mean, people that are turning around those driveways too, but that would be up to a resident owner to say, no, turning around my driveway.
So my understanding then, is what you're saying is for the driveway permit, that restaurant. They have to put up a no parking sign,
Mhm.
do the hash mark, and then what happens the year after when it needs to be painted? Is that the responsibility of that person, or is that the state?
There's nothing in the permit that says that it's annual, other than you're supposed to maintain the signage.
Weird.
One business has, yeah,
Yes.
every business.
First I heard.
Well,
I can understand it with the permit, they have to put a sign. Yeah.
I think it all started about this when they weren't allowed to have drive-through. Because it was too close to the rotary. You have to be 200 feet from the, so then they got the easement to get out from there just beyond the 200, and that was, so I think that was kind of a DOT, so we're gonna make you put signs up and.
But I'm questioning it, and it's a state road.
I mean, the Scorpios go out and
Somebody,
tags
and somebody aren't paying. Fine, use that road thing.
Well, the Scorpios pay.
The one in front of
Oh.
hospitals, isn't there a hydrant?
Yeah, so I remember when
That's a hydrant issue.
when that rotary went in, you know, it's right, that was gonna go all the way down to the church, like past where Riley's was, and then they backed it up. It was the crosswalk went between what's Family Dollar and Scorpio's right there.
Mm.
So,
Looking there.
right, so after that, going towards town, we're about, didn't make any sense to me, because it's the same amount of congestion. You know, it's worse in front of Scorpion's, but whatever.
So regardless,
no.
when I get to it, Jessica and I will, review a letter, and then maybe we can pull Harrison in on a conversation with you about, you know, why, the whens and whys and.
Well, I'm just,
Harrison,
I'm just,
DOT.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm just wondering why somebody's gonna paint on the state road.
Why,
You know how funny it can be, you know? And they're gonna allow somebody to go back on it.
you're gonna have bright colored paint and then,
Yeah.
then every individual business in that area from railroad up is
Well,
responsible.
I don't think so, because. But then,
No, there's only the new.
so grandfathered right now. Until.
Conversations.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Signs.
yeah.
and then I have a number of items on the agenda tonight, so that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Thank-
Get back to you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, you have no appointments, you have no public hearings, no more? I'm down here. All right, let's review the minutes from June 2nd, 2025. Chairman, could I go? Yes, you may have written out your wish, Bill. No.
He's chaired.
Work session.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the work session.
Request on possible escort for Veterans Ride.
You don't have to have an answer right now.
Make a motion to, accept the June 2nd work session minutes as presented.
Okay. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will make a motion to accept the June 2nd regular select board meeting minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Give them to me.
Yeah, those are the ones in the clip right here. It's that, all of that. So I'm all of that.
I didn't know if I grabbed something. I
No, it's all of that. No. Some of the end is attachments that I want. Yeah, it was a, yep. Yes.
A lot of information.
There was a lot.
Yes.
Switch it out. You're gonna cramp your nose.
Property tax warrant, you are,
Yeah. I'm gonna just sit here.
do we need to vote or anything on this or just?
No, I do wanna just maybe read the amount or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I should have read that beforehand. Can't let Jessica down, I guilted her into going to the ballgame. Did a couple fireworks permits, one for 260 North Road and 44 Pleasant Valley.
He's happy with.
Jeez. One's on July 5th, the other is on June 28th. Yeah. Now the next is the current use application for R2 lot 55 that Jason has recommended approval. Jean's flipping through. I'm standing, that's like, I know you are. I know I have to focus, not focus on that. The next is 2 timber tax warrants. The first one's for tax map R28 lot 1, the amount of 2,021.08. And the second is, tax map R28 lot 1A in the amount of 8,543.92. All right, so the next group is veterans credits. First one's for R19 lot 94. It's recommended for approval for RSA 7228.5F and RSA 7230. So the next one is tax map R17 lot 42. There's a few things marked on this application, but after discussing, the elderly exemption or whatever, with the owner realized they don't qualify. But it is recommended for approval for the veterans credit for RSA 7228.5D, which is a regular credit. All right, the next one is for tax map P11 lot 40. That's also been, is recommended for approval for 72:28.5D. Zip code. So I'm still not seeing it. Third time. They have 03580. The one I'm signing right now. Oh. 4 would be great. Yeah, no, yeah. Looking at mine, I'm like, I'm seeing. Good, the new one. one's R19 lot 49. They qualify, the husband qualifies for RSA 7228(5)(f). They do not share the same last name, so it was requested that the marriage certificate be provided, mostly because the husband's name is not on the property. So. Movies, 10-year Great Northwest. Okay, so the next one is for R2 lot 90. It's recommended for approval, for RSA 7228-B, which is the all vets credit.
Or we do the workshop rating.
Yes, that happened.
That would be mission.
No.
Dan Craven,
So observant.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be to the mission.
Making sure you're paying attention.
Yeah.
mine too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So the next one is for PA lot 20. There's a lot actually going on here. Husband and wife are both vets. The wife has qualified previously, but now married and we put them on one application. So I did note that she has a previous application and did attach it. So her credit won't go away, obviously. And then, the husband, he qualifies for the all vet credit, but per the law and the disabled vet credit, but you cannot hold both. You can't stack them when it's the all vet credit. So he is being approved for RSA 7235, and then she will continue to receive hers per RSA 28(5)(f). They need to decide. This is what it was before. John just went from South, so I'm sure they could have left it again. Thing. Yeah, you keep everything. Then the last one out of this group is also a husband and wife. The wife's DD 214. They're still looking for it, so I told them once they obtain it and get it to us, we'll take a look again. But the husband does qualify for RSA 7228-B, which is the all vets credit. And
archive.gov, where they can go and
to get it, oh, that's a nice thing to know about that. I think they're trying to dig through records at home. And they probably could just go to archive.gov. I'm gonna write that down because that's handy to let vets know. And I'm turning the stage back over to Jessica. Oh, boy. Yeah, mostly it's Randy and John stuff. Theirs is all on their report. They so we just got through the signing of paperwork.
Beautiful.
New business.
New business number 1, vote to approve building off of a private class 6 road with the Chino Carbon Project. Robin, do you wish to kick them off?
Sure, I have surveyor here, Mark, and he can field any of the questions. This is a proposed project for a single family dwelling at an end of a 1,200-foot access with 4 cabins. This access was voted on by the planning board to be a road and not a driveway. Having said that, I sent you guys some research, some law, and the Board of Selectmen have the authority to grant permission for anyone to build off of private or class 6. Also, you have the authority to block the road. At this point, since it's a private road, I think it would be good to expressly say that you are not protecting it and that it will remain private. And so you're not responsible for maintenance. And then anything else would be the waiver of liability. And then the permission at your discretion.
it's been customary that any roads that this board wants to take up goes to a town meeting. The town, I know we can, but that's what we have traditionally done. I don't see us taking on any new roads unless they're checked structurally by an engineer.
So during this whole process, the planning board and then the developer himself was really agreeable to building it to DOT spec. So the lanes are wide enough for emergency vehicles. It also, DOT requires like these little bump outs every 300 feet because it's so long, so that it will help with two-way passing. And so they're planning on building it to spec. And that's where we're at.
This does meet your.
Yeah. Yep.
To build before we approve a site plan, because what's the point of a site plan if they can't build? So,
The question had been whether it was a driveway or a road. And because of the number of dwellings, it clearly goes into road status, not driveway status. So because it converts into road, it comes to us.
Private road. And that each dwelling will have to have a waiver of liability. Is that what we call it?
well, it's on one lot, so there's only one property owner.
But it's gonna have 4 cabins there.
Yeah. think when we get to the conditional use permit for the short-term rentals, it'll just be a condition of approval that they shall include the waiver of liability in their rental agreements.
There you go.
So I'll make a motion to approve the building of a private road with the provisions that strengthen waiver of liabilities. Site plan.
And recorded,
Recorded and executed and recorded.
Yeah, they usually come to the office.
That's the same.
But do they need to get a driveway permit in addition to the road permit?
yep,
Okay.
and, Tim's already looked at the site and said that where the proposed location met the site distance requirements and the apron would be fine.
My only question on the motion is, do we need to say built to standards? Do we need to include built to standards? Or just saying road imply that?
Well, where's a private road? Because. Sitting here saying, we're not gonna take this road.
If
Yeah,
you, if you dictated,
Okay, never mind, I'll
Right.
second.
planning board, yeah,
Okay.
what's that?
Is it an approval to build on a private road or to build a private road?
It's built off of a private.
It's to build off of a private road, not necessarily to build a private road.
Road's not there.
Right.
Right. So it's both?
What's that?
So is it both?
It's both
I mean, because right now the motion is just to build a private road.
the road, so,
With each dwelling having a waiver, which implies that they're not building.
Okay.
Got a motion, we got a second. Are you still holding your second?
Yes.
Maybe. Any further? No, any further discussion? Seeing none, it's a lot of written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
New business number 2, a zoning board appointment this evening for Scott Lambert. Zoning board alternate member.
I have a question for Robin on this. So yeah, it looks like there needs to be a conversation at CPA about trying to get someone to be a regular member.
yes.
So that's something that Tricia, it says at a future meeting.
Well, it's gonna have to be this next one on the 25th. Simply because I already know I've got a public hearing at that meeting and a public hearing at the next one, next month. Excuse me.
So I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation point for Scott Lambert as an alternate member for 1 year expiring in 2026 onto the zoning board.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second, and just. Question.
Yeah.
How long has he lived in town? Or do we know?
A year.
Huh?
A year.
A year?
Moving on, new business number 3, a land use change tax appeal for Welch. The new owner of these parcels of R12 through 55 and 56. The new owner of these parcels finds filed an abatement application on the land use change tax issued to the previous owner. The application is timely filed with the new owner as the group change tax with all the statutory timelines for issuance and appeal. The owner feels that the land use change tax should be based on the town's assessment of the property rather than the market value of the property. The new owner purchased the parcels in August 2024 for $86,000. It was an open market transaction that clearly fits the definition of market value. And you'll see that definition spelled out in your supporting documents. Town assessments are seldom at 100% of market value, and increasing market assessments are often below market value. This is the case in Lancaster, as the town's last evaluation update was effective April 1st of 2023, and the market has only improved since then, as shown by market sales throughout town. It clearly states in the law and the rules that the land use change tax shall be based on market value, if not the town's assessment. There have been many vacant sales over the past few years. You'll see that in the second page of your supporting document. The subject property is superior in location, topography, configuration, and privacy. It was also conveyed in 2 legal parcels, which normally increases their value. Other than the subject sale, the best comparable sales are the sale and the resale of R12-30, 5.1 acre lot on Garland Road for $89,000 in October of 2022 and $110,000 in August of 2024. No change in land use change tax value is recommended for memo dated June 6, 2025 from Jason Call.
What's the amount to be put on
Land use change taxes for 4,300, assessed at 43,000, but that's just one. Because they're 2 parcels. It was 40, they were matching, it was 43,000 on the other as
what they pay?
well. They paid, I don't remember what they paid, but 2,
Yeah, they paid 86.
yeah. It's felt that it should be the town's assessed value, not.
Motion to deny.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. There's no other new business this evening. Old business number 1, vote to select Donna Lane as the grant writer and administrator for the CDBG for the Ahead and McKee.
There was something we were supposed to do last meeting.
Yeah.
All right, we did so well at that last meeting. I'll make a motion to select Donna Lane as the grant writer and administrator for CDBG, right hand, key, and.
Favor?
She held our hand through all of it, but she probably felt funny about holding our hand through that prior.
Well, she doesn't get paid unless the grant comes over. Oh, there's no funds for the town.
Other business number 2, I have a storm update for you this evening. We received $5,023.22 for the work completed on 7th Hill and Old East Roads. On my meeting last week with FEMA, they are estimating roughly $350,000 to be obligated in July for the work already completed from 2024. The FEMA reps are working to get this work completed and paid before their fiscal year ends. If, however, that it's after July, we can see a 3 to 4 week delay. So we still have quite a bit of work to do. This is kind of one of the first larger chunks of payment that we'll be seeing. Our routine meeting for Thursday was bumped up to Wednesday this week. The highway crew has been busy preparing for paving and will be shifting some work to road repair to help close out this disaster so we can get this moving. That's it for storm update. Select board member?
I have nothing at this time.
I do have something. Did you guys get an email from Tim Green, the auditor, asking the annual questions that he asks us about?
No, I don't recall getting that.
Because I'm the newbie, I don't know. I got one last year.
I got one.
Last year. Okay, so I got one this year, and they weren't all yes, no questions. There were a couple open-ended questions, which, we have some work we could do. There's growth development that we can work on. One of them was, how do we communicate to the employees the importance of ethical behavior and sound business practices? Okay, and just so I explained, the personnel policy has a code of ethics. Each staff member gets one, they get hired. I think the room for improvement could be that's reviewed by staff once a year. You know, reaffirmed by staff that they do it. And that as far as our end, we have our rules of procedure that we follow. We should probably reaffirm that, whether there needs to be changes every year or not. So, I want to put as a tickler for, I don't know how you do that with staff, whether it be at their annual reviews, I should do it. Make sure we have a coordinated effort. And then the second one was, how do we monitor town's compliance on contracts and grant agreements? And it's like, okay, well, we have regular updates, we have regular updates from staff, and of course, we engage an audit firm. But, we seek legal counsel when we, need help or other experts to interpret regulations, RSAs, contract provisions, that sort of thing. But again, it showed me there's room for improvement, because I'm unaware if there's staff compliance, like I don't know what, everyone goes through to make sure they know how to handle the grants. I don't know if there's been any messaging to the public about these compliance efforts, but there's probably some room for improvement, so. Assuming
Yeah.
I got back from Tim, good job, KJ, thank you. I'll take it, but again, just to get it on your radar, just. If you didn't get that.
That's like my spam email.
Okay, that's the end of my report.
Actually, do we have any updates on the fountain by the post office?
Yes, so we found an old description of the fountain, which included which side of the fountain there was inscribed to provide that to the contractor that we've been dealing with. They've connected with both highway and water, so from my understanding, it's in very final stages. We keep hearing this, so we'll continue to follow up. It would be nice to have that set very soon.
Were you able to converse with the person that? Or did you?
Correct. I have tried to reach out direct to the individual, but was advised that it was a client of their client. However, our water department did hear directly from the person who's doing explosive fabrication or whatever, so that the holes are installed appropriately.
Okay. Okay.
And your report, I did not prepare one this evening, but in thinking ahead, do we have a relatively decent amount of applications for the July 4th parade?
Yeah, they've been coming in.
Putting a plug out for that. I also have I've had three ongoing welfare applicants, which have all been awarded in the past 2 weeks. Working very hard. We had our auditors the first week of June. So we've been busy with that. Had a conversation with the Northern Forest Center about the upcoming trails cutting ceremony. Please mark your calendars for June 28th. I know there's a number of different events going on throughout the community and also with ties to Lancaster at the airport, with the air show. I think that's it for me this evening. I think off the top of my head, I usually have it written down.
Nothing on the railroad. Not the railroad.
No.
You just get home, yeah. And information this evening, there's a zoning board meeting notice for June 25th, 2025 at 6:30. Also a zoning board, Board of Adjustments notice of decision, a land use permit for the Thompson Mill property for Derek Champagne and Dayton Rivers, Hill Street. For your supplemental information, see, next up is public comment.
Just. Only what?
Champagne, permit. When he did come in, I had the opportunity to say that your lawn needs some work. And 60 days, he said he would have your guys' vehicles removed. So that was a courtesy. That's on Prospect Street, right across from Snow Drifters.
Yeah.
Property sold. One where the foundation,
Oh, come on, 7.
yeah, so we will see, Buffalo Road. Yeah, so we'll see that start to have the building and working with the fire on the compliance with the removal of the foundation.
and
All right. Which one you guys wanna go? Go ahead. I'll go, okay. Want to talk about Causeway first thing. Okay. Well, cleaned up the mess at the railroad crossing. I wanna, the town crew, thank you. Much smoother. You can actually sit in the seat of the truck when you go across. Storm drain in front of Manville's old house. Talked about it late last year. Hasn't been touched. Still grown in this spring. They can do it. I'm gonna send the bill.
So are you aware that there's going to be work done?
I am aware. We sent a picture out this spring. That to you and KJ, and I said, I guess that it got grown in over the winter. Creates quite the pond. In Manville's yard and stuff, like I said, I've gone over a couple times and helped Lisa pull it out. I think Ronnie used to probably take care of it, that's why it wasn't an issue before.
Is that drain part of the scope of the project though?
Oh, that's what I'm gonna.
Well, this says 3 culverts, so I don't know if there's.
Just around, find out on it. Also with the work that's coming up. I know there's probably 12 to 18 inches of gravel on the road that the town did probably 20 years ago, maybe more. I prefer to see that gravel stays on Causeway Street to be used. And since my lot, where the storage thing is kind of dragging behind at this point in time, I'd be willing to allow them to store that there instead of trucking it off somewhere and then us having to double pay for it. Any power and stuff I could probably use for fill, but. And since it's been mentioned twice about the town trails. I'd just like to point out that Causeway Street seems to be really favored by the Conservation Commission and all these people who want to go to the town forest. And there's one simple reason for that. Causeway Street has been privately maintained by the landowners for the last 80 years plus. And previously, when things go on in the town forest, we get a bunch of flatties coming up through there, and they like to complain they don't like the way things look. Too bad. Well, and I don't think this is the place to have said that, but I missed the other meeting. So I just wanted to pass that along. Rachel has been 110%. Been very forthcoming and let us know when things are happening and stuff. We appreciate it. I do gotta move one pole. They're gonna get shamed to run the those up. Yeah, I know. We got one just like that. Now for the serious stuff. Tax appeal is not taken care of. I am not happy. And again, why everybody's
I know
here,
it's public comments, but at this point, I am not part of the conversation or recuse myself from any part of this conversation.
at this point, I'm gonna reiterate my request that when sit down with Jason, I want Shane or KJ there. There's been issues for a long time. And, this needs to be taken care of. Now, it's my understanding that you're speaking of what, last year, we missed the filing date because we thought we had it. You had dropped it off and you had dropped or lost. I mean.
Got lost in Ben's transition.
And so we're waiting
This year.
to come this year, right, to do it?
Yeah, have you filed for this year?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's my understanding that
Okay.
it's to be treated as a timely filing.
Okay.
Ben talked to Charity. And that he said that,
He remembers receiving.
and this is from 23.
Yeah.
23's appeal, but we talked at the beginning of this year, didn't we?
Well, this has been ongoing,
We talked at the beginning of this year.
yeah.
So everything's on track so we can deal with this now?
So are we waiting for something from Jason? Like what if we're, exactly.
The last time I followed up on this, he was waiting for things to kind of dry out as far as the ground was concerned to get out there on Causeway, so.
Well, and we had a brief conversation when I was doing some work downstairs, and I told him that some fool keeps it plowed all winter long, so whenever you wanted to, but I felt that we should sit down and discuss some things before we went up to view anything. He said that would probably be good, but that's the last I've heard.
And you followed up with the counties.
That was probably in April.
Probably at the same time, or down, so.
And you won't have a decision from Jason until your next meeting, which is until like July 7th or so. So at that point, if he hasn't gotten a response, he has the right to appeal to the BTLA as of July 1st if there's no response.
What are the dates?
So, I mean, so hopefully a conversation can happen soon, so he knows what track it's on. So,
Clearly Jason's aware of those dates.
oh, yeah.
So what's the action on our part this minute? We wait and see what Jason, how he.
How about we're scheduling a meeting and then maybe a field trip, maybe in the same
Yeah.
timeframe could happen.
Yeah, like I said, I need to sit down and have a conversation, or is everybody?
Right, and you won't have another meeting to accept any recommendations
Right.
until after that, but if you're all on the same track and a change can be made.
Okay.
My concern is just, if they're going to vote on it, if you want somebody to sit down when you're speaking with him, should it be Jessica?
I said before that I didn't care who it was, and then I told Ben. So, yeah, that's,
Should be.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
And I just,
If it's one of us, you're down to one.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
oh, that's true.
Because he's got a queue, so.
Yeah,
Good catch.
so,
It should be Jessica, because it's one of us, that only leaves one person to vote. We wouldn't have a quorum to. Well, one of the assessing board has to recuse himself.
Select board and the assessing board.
Thank you.
Ron, just clarifying, whose issue is this?
he's gonna be part of the meeting anyways, because I already told him he had to be there. Whether he says anything or not, that's up to him, but he might keep me out of jail.
Maybe. We'll see. Okay.
All right. So this meeting needs to happen. Before soon.
Yeah, cause I keep reading through this to make sure I got it in my head.
Yeah.
It reads pretty quickly.
Okay,
Too much other crap.
And thanks, Robin, that's a good catch.
yeah. Thank you, been another question.
Oh, and that was what the original request, like I said, when I talked to Ben. See, somebody has to keep us straight.
Yeah.
Takes a village.
Sometimes.
All right. We satisfied your needs at this time for the night tonight?
I think so.
Thank you. Rob?
Well, sporting with two different hats here. As you know, I'm elected to two different boards by the taxpayers, so I'll report on those. And I'm appointed by the town to two different external commissions and boards. So I will report on that, and then I have a few personal comments. First of all, Connecticut River Joint Commission, we are still anxious to have as much new representation on the commission as we can. It's getting so much hard for us to convene a quorum, and I'm taking the step. I'm the chairman of the local park, unfortunately. I didn't move fast enough, but anyway, what we're going to do from now on is make sure that our published agenda is sent out to all the select boards on both sides of the river. So at least we can get get some awareness and get some representation. Three things that we talked about at our meeting last week were, work on the Moore-Dingham power line access, a fairly major project, but that's on the Vermont side, so it doesn't hit you guys directly. But that's something that's significant, and that's the kind of thing we do, is make comments to the environmental commission on each side and try to protect the interests of our individual towns. The other two projects that were under discussion were some wetland stuff and a culvert thing over in Lunenburg, basically repairs from the flood. But as usual, there's a full engineering report and everything. Now, what I've done about that is I've contacted 3 different people in Lunenburg who have expressed an interest in the past and invited them to the meeting, but that didn't happen either. But we'll keep working on it. So again, if Lancaster wants to suggest someone to join, we are entitled to 2 representatives on the River Bend Commission. And I agree with everyone. There's about 16 or 17 different organizations that have an oar in the water in the Connecticut River, and it's hard for us sometimes to be interested in all the stuff that comes. But on the other hand, when things local come up, I want to make sure that Lancaster's interested. So that's on the river bit. Now on the air show, at the end of the month, 28th and 29th, the regional airport is having air show. It's on Saturday and Sunday, the 28th. I've heard that come up. There's a group called the Friends of the Airport that have rallied to, it's a VIP tickets here
Oh, wait.
for the select board members. And so, and I'm gonna rattle the Friends cage and see if they can come up with any more tickets, because I want Leicester to feel invited. Basically, each envelope has 2 tickets to the air show and a parking pass. And so if you can't go,
I think it was Sunday too, so
Huh?
maybe I can go Sunday.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
If you can't go, please feel free to pass them on to someone, a deserving individual, or somebody who doesn't deserve it for that. Like this. The planning is going pretty well, and it's not clear whether those tickets are good for Saturday and Sunday, so if I were you, I'd go both days if you want to and present your ticket. Again, the air show is coming along. Looks like there'll be a military presence, a lot of candy dropped from the helicopter, smoke and stunt planes, all of the good stuff. Maybe some line dancing and some open mic stuff. So that's the air show. Now, here's the Emmons Smith Committee hat. Along with the trustees of the trust fund, I think most of the committees and the trustees are trying to get our funds to work so that we can cover things that the town has been picking up in the past because there is much awareness. Emmons Smith is available to meet. It's supposed to meet the needs of Lancaster's needs. In the past, that's included buying a series of breast pumps for the hospital, for the maternity, at the time that there was a maternity service there. And so I think we're trying to develop a policy based on what we've done in the past, but the whole big picture is to try to save, make sure we spend our money so that the taxpayers don't have to use an opportunity. With respect to that developing policy, we've also asked the trustees for some information about modifying our investments. We want to get more income out of it rather than growth. And we'd like to see the investment policy and the asset management contracts. We had a formal meeting with them at the beginning of May, made that request, and so far we haven't heard anything back, so we'll keep on that. Yeah, fourth town, third town spending committee. Sorry I was late today. Has the department made a report? Did we get a department head report from third town? I think I heard one last.
Field and Megan was in the Snapchat.
Say again?
Eli was at the field, he presented awards this evening, and Megan was in the Snapchat.
Well, that's great, but I mean, I think it's nice if the department that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Be nice if they made a report or something. That's just my opinion. I talked about that at the meeting. And our next meeting is, the 25th of June, which the spending committee will convene. And one of the things we're looking at is to see if we can ask the trustees to give us 5% a year instead of 4% a year, which is going to take $50,000 or $60,000 burden off of the tax. Okay, it won't hurt the investment, I don't think at all. So those are my four hats. Now, going back, about your business. So I think your business is a matter of the assessing board, right? Because it's the assessing board, it goes over the property stuff.
This is your private stuff now?
No, it's my comment, this is citizen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So now you have 3 minutes. Right?
So what is the 91A reason for the non-public session at the work session? Nathan?
She's good.
Don't get it.
She's good. That's what's pulling it up.
You don't know, you just did it.
We
It
did.
was,
Number A, B, C, D, E, F.
I just want to know the reason, I heard what my number. I replay by time, by the way, if you just.
Yeah.
I've been watching.
It's fine. Keep an eye on
it was, publicized in the notice as well.
Didn't see that.
Questions? It went out in the notice for the non-public meeting
No.
as well.
The
Yeah.
notice just says there is a non-public, we'll give that, says 91A, it doesn't say the reason.
That's the agenda for this meeting, but she posted one separately for the meeting this earlier.
Yes, that's correct, and that's what I'm asking about.
The consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which if discussed in public would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community.
Thank you. No problem. Reason. So I'm wondering, a couple of things now. Has the select board voted to accept the audit that had you filed it with the state yet?
You don't have it yet.
Pardon?
They
Last
just
year's
did,
law. You haven't done it on last year's. The one for 23.
Didn't I come and do a
He
presentation?
did a presentation and all that.
Forecast, but I didn't hear a vote to accept or have you submitted?
Actually happened after you made public comments, you asked if they voted to accept it, and KJ said,
we do it that night.
she said, yes,
Yeah.
she said, oh, thank you for the reminder, Rob, and I think right after.
Last week.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened at that meeting. You mentioned it
Yeah.
in your public comments, and KJ said, oh, shoot, we need to do that, and I believe they did.
And I asked if my memory is not perfect, and that's why we keep minutes, right? And, and that, have the pilot agreements been addressed, approved, et cetera? I know that that's been on the agenda for some time. I've heard conversation about it, but
I think they've been,
Yep, we had one go to one, person for updating, and then the rest were going to be on July's work session.
in the July work session, and then you would, let go, take votes and approve things in the work session, you know, do that, well, right? Set the contract. But I know the contracts are staggered, one's in October, one's in September, one's in December, one's in January. And one of them requires, supplying you with the rental proceeds and the change in structure, so I just had it very. How about, there are some nonprofits that don't pay pilot. Have you considered approaching any of them? The pilots are voluntary. contract, but it's sort of like, if you get the use of all the town services, then sometimes you're going to have to make a pile. And I know that there's some other organizations that don't at this time. Is that ever considered, or I guess I'm asking the assessing?
I don't remember that being considered in my time on the board. It's always been the larger entities that have been asked to provide a pilot. You've got some smaller entities, it just doesn't seem to make sense, to have a pilot.
Well, Tower Lane is not very large, so that leaves a few in the standing. Okay, and are all the
30-second warning. 30-second warning.
Okay, thank you very much. I will go back to the official question of the assessing board. Are all of the nonprofits in the town in good standing? Let me check.
Be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure. I know the one I'm involved in is, but
That's why.
Ones that all nonprofit.
You look on the state register of nonprofits, and it tells whether they are in good standing with the state or not.
Great, but just ones that own property or all nonprofit organizations? Are you asking about?
I'm asking about anyone who does not pay property taxes in Lancaster because they are a nonprofit.
So our exempt property people. Okay,
Yeah.
well, because there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that are in town that I was just wondering if you thought we were supposed to keep track of them too.
Does Jason go through?
I don't know the answer. I believe that is one of the things that's provided of the application and the things that he's been asking for in the last.
also paperwork needs to come into the town from each nonprofit that owns property. I think one's an A9, the other's an A12, if
Yeah,
I remember.
Which is done annually, yes,
Which is done annually.
yeah.
Well, the easy thing is you can ask Jason to give you a schedule of who pays taxes and rank order it by who pays the most and who pays the least, and that'll give you a 2-page report. All the countries that don't have a tax levy fund. It's easier to look.
Hey,
I went 37 seconds.
you went a little bit over. I was generous.
I appreciate you're trying to run an effective meeting, but, I'm an elected official and I'm never asked for reports. And, so I don't feel embarrassed.
I feel great. I feel good that you did that, Rob. I forgot to ask you a while ago about what the.
Well, he didn't start your 3 minutes until you're on your public
That's
comments.
right.
He let you do your committee reports
Right.
without being told.
So did Tinker have 3 minutes on the
He has about 4.5. That's sincere. We're trying to resolve this issue.
That's fair enough.
We needed a little more attention.
And I had a couple of things before that. Had to give him some attaboy.
Yeah,
Mm.
he was primary. So, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye.